All right, welcome back to Major League Mindset Episode 3. I'm excited this week to have on Vince Luciani. Vince and I were connected via a colleague of ours or a mutual friend of ours. Vince, how you doing today?
Great, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, for those of you who don't know Vince, a little bit about his background. Vince played college football up in the great country of Canada at Wilfrid Laurier University, where he was a quarterback, wide receiver, and tight end. Now he is the founder of a successful coaching company called The Legacy Coaching. So Vince, for my viewers watching this video today who may not know much about you, why don't you take a minute or two just to tell us a little bit about your past and a little bit about what you're doing today.
100%. I appreciate it. I played sports my entire life, and I always identified myself as just an athlete. And in my darkest times, the one thing I always relied on was that label and that identity of being an athlete. And when that was gone, I didn't know who I was. And that was after my transition from playing to coaching. Someone actually asked me, said, "Vince, who are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm a football coach." And then she's like, "No, Vince, that's just what you are. Who are you?" And I actually broke down in tears, and because I realized my entire life I let what I did on the outside define who I was on the inside. And so what I've done is that moment hit me so hard that I remember sitting there going, okay, athletes aren't learning this right now. Coaches aren't learning this right now. And so I just, without even thinking, I started opening up the realm of self-discovery. And then every lesson that I learned, I started to formulate a program and a curriculum of how to take an athlete through this process while they're still in the sport and while they're out of it.
That's awesome, Vince. And I failed to let the audience know what tie you have to professional athletics. Not only did Vince play college football, Vince was also a coach on the Hamilton Tiger Cat staff, a professional football team up in the Canadian Football League. So Vince, take me back to 2011 where you were coaching on the Hamilton Tiger Cats staff. What was the mindset you instilled in your players back then?
Yeah, the mindset then was just do your job, focus on your job and focus on, the thing right in front of you and pay attention. Like it was so in the head. And it's not that I was wrong. It's all I knew at the time. And it was so focused on the outcome. It was so focused about winning and winning. And what I would say now, like if I were to stand there beside myself in 2011 and just kind of chirp in my ear before I go talk to the players, I'd say get the athletes to focus on themselves first and master themselves first, because the byproduct of that is mastering the outcome. Because the whole idea is if we attach ourselves to the outcomes, our being is completely dictated by these outcomes. So if I win, I'm going to feel amazing. If I lose, I'm going to feel crappy. But the idea is I want athletes to understand I am everything. Like the outcome is not everything. You are everything within or without the outcome. And so, how an athlete gets to that, it's a completely different angle for each person. But I believe it's so important to, number one, define your own process that leads to the outcome, because for everyone it's different. But it's taking time for you and understanding what works for you.
That's so good, because if you're a sales manager listening into what Vince just said, it's so easy in sports and in sales to get tied to that outcome, that win, right? But your producers can't start generating those wins until they work on themselves. And that was such a valuable piece of content. I hope everybody was listening to that. Okay, Vince, so you went from coaching athletes to coaching athletes, individuals, and business professionals. What was it? What mindset shift did you make, or mindset you bring from your coaching on the football field to coaching in the classroom or to in the business office, C-suite, executive office that you effectively utilize today?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because when I think of mindset, I think of the mind. I think I've shifted to almost a heart set, if you will, and shifting from not so much the logical thinking and processes, more so leading with the feeling and the intention that comes from the heart. Because I firmly believe when we're truly aligned from the heart, that things flow with more ease. it's more connected to us. So there's more passion, there's more intention. And so I really encourage people, specifically in the workplace, it's not even about so much what you're doing, it's who you're being within doing
Mm,
that thing. So, because a lot of people, I mean, I was like this too. When I was coaching in football, I would go, what are other coaches doing? And then I would try to mimic what they were doing, not realizing that it's not so much what's happening on the outside, it's who you're being on the inside. And so that's why I always encourage people to have a heart set, like have an intention of your work. So when you work with someone, what do you want them to feel when you walk away? What do you want to feel when you walk away from working with a client, a lunch meeting, whatever it may be? Because if we lead with feeling, we can connect to them in a place where they feel something. Because sometimes when we're stuck in the head, it creates this loop, right? What are they thinking? What do they think? And it just keeps, we go back and forth. But the second stuff starts to come out from the heart, it allows others around you to feel the same thing. I love the fact that I'm talking with my hands in the screen.
jazz hands.
Right? Yeah.
That's so good, Vince, because in sales, everybody wants the silver bullet.
Yeah.
And so they want the perfect thing to say, or they want the perfect product. So what they do is they just go regurgitate something somebody else has said. And what you said is so powerful. It's no. It starts right here. It's
Yes.
with who are you being? And once you understand who you are, everything else will take care of itself. So with that, the last question I have for you is, if you were to give one piece of advice to a younger sales professional today, what would that piece of advice be?
So it's not so much advice as I would ask them a question. If you were to wipe away all of your titles, labels, and accomplishments, what would you be left with?
Hmm.
Like who are you without all of those things around you? Because when we strip all that away, we start to look inwards and go, okay, where is my power without all of these things? And I think that's really important because it's because that's the thing is I could advise people in any which direction, but what works for me may not work for other people. But that question, if you just strip away everything, all the things that you love, all the people that you love, if you just kind of think of yourself without all of those things, what are you left with? Because I believe if you're nothing without those things, you are also nothing with them.
Oh, so good. I hope everybody that was listening today was taking notes, especially if you're a sales manager working with producers whose job it is to go generate revenue. Vince, last thing, anybody interested in connecting to you, what is the best way for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, I would say on Instagram, it's at The Legacy Coaching. My website's thelegacycoaching.com, and Facebook is The Legacy Coach.
Awesome. And I'll include all of that in the notes as well as the post that I put on LinkedIn. So Vince, thank you for your time, guys. If you're out there listening, remember, you are only one mindset shift away from greatness. So that's it for episode 3. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.